hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Social Z Franchise Happy Hour. I'm the host, as usual, Calvin Smith, coming from a chilly Destin, Florida. I think it's in the 60s today here, so we're getting our big coats out. But so lucky to have Janice Charles with us, coming from, I'm sure, nice and warm Denver, Colorado area. Janice, welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Janice, what's the temperature in your part of Colorado right now?
Well, the last time I looked, it was 14 degrees. So we're a little on the chilly side today with about a foot of snow, which has been a welcome change for Colorado. So we're all out making snow angels.
Sure, sure. Well, thanks for staying indoors and talking with us this evening. Hopefully you've got some hot chocolate or something to keep you warm there. But we'll kick this off as usual, Janice. And what we'd ask you to do is just, give us a quick introduction to yourself, your business, and, anything that you feel like is important about how you got into this crazy world of franchising.
Well, thank you, Calvin. I appreciate the opportunity to chat with you all. And I think the biggest thing from a franchising perspective is that I was born into a franchising family, so I don't know anything different and thoroughly enjoy it. That's how I was raised, and I was raised in a McDonald's family. We had 13 stores, and really was raised from a franchisee perspective to get a really good idea and a very good understanding as to the different thought processes that a franchisee has as they build their business, as they expand and grow, and how they communicate with the corporation, the advertising agency, what have you. So that really allowed me, after my dad retired, to go into the advertising agency business and worked on a lot of big franchises. Then came back to Colorado and was also able to have my own business, one that was a franchise, one that was a non-franchise. So you can kind of see both sides of it. And then I worked for several franchisors and I've really had the opportunity to see this business from every side. The past 7 years specifically, I've been in franchise consulting with a franchise consulting company where we help people to find a franchise. We also have the only program in the world with all of our franchising services under one roof to help people franchise their business from inception to sale.
That's great. And Janice, that's where you spend most of your time now, is more on the consulting side, but are you still active in the 13 stores with the family, or where do you spend your day now?
My day is helping people to franchise their business, walking through, looking at all aspects, what's best for them, and how do we make their franchise as wonderful and as great as it can possibly be to exceed their expectations. So spend a lot of time with that, as well as helping people find franchises, because there's just so many wonderful options out there today. So it's a lot of fun.
Sure. And Janice, it sounds like you've got a unique perspective, been in the industry for so long, and obviously starting out with one of the pinnacle brands like McDonald's, and being with it probably from what was probably a smaller system many years ago to what it's became now. How do you feel like that's helped you see that iteration of McDonald's through the years and what you do today?
Well, my grandparents lived down the street from Ray Kroc, and he had them come to Boulder to open up the first location. Awesome. My uncle went to Greeley to open up one there, and over time we were really able to look into the business and understand it. I understood the business from Ray's perspective. My dad had regular conversations with him, probably one of the neatest people you'll ever meet, but incredibly driven and passionate about what he does. And was in no way did the founder portray him accurately on any level.
Okay. Yeah. I was always curious about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it didn't. But, you see how things evolve from more franchise locations to corporate locations, and then back to franchise locations, how they support people, how they do their advertising, how they do product development, and then how they work in the community. And it's been really interesting to watch the ebbs and flows and watch them in comparison to other brands. And I know I really learned a lot after I went to different brands with being McDonald's, because they are the best of the best. And a lot of people are just like, if you don't know McDonald's, you just don't know McDonald's. And everything is so spot on and perfect every single time. And it's something that I strive for all of the time, no matter what brand I'm with. And it really taught me a lot about exceeding expectations and excelling on every level and being a part of the community, which right now is a given. But back when Ray started, it wasn't. So
Sure.
it's neat to see how that has carried over, and his exact verbiage is used by other companies in doing business with the people that in our communities. I mean, it's exactly what Ray said. So
That's awesome. Yeah, what a unique position to be in. Having seen all different aspects of a brand like that. Plus, with your background being in smaller brands, larger brands, it gives you a cool perspective. So, tell me a little bit more about the franchise consulting company. You mentioned that you're one of the the only companies in the world that can take it from start to finish if someone's looking to franchise their business. But do you also help people buy existing franchises, or tell me a little bit more about what you guys do?
over the past 6 years, we've really developed the franchise consulting business into helping people find a new business or one that's what we call a resale. We have those opportunities in about every category, what we say known to man, and about every price range available. And we really help people as our advocate to sort through. We've grown to 150 offices around the world in 6 short years. The only way to get into the franchise consulting company is to be invited to join. It's not something that you can buy into. It is not a franchise. Everyone is hand selected. So if you don't have franchising experience, it doesn't make a whole heck of a lot of sense to be in franchise consulting if you can't, if you don't know anything about it. So it's a unique family and a unique culture in that when you join, you are a family. And our CEO, Nick Neonakis, just absolutely lives and breathes that. And it's just an absolute inspiration to be around. And over time, what has evolved is different companies within the franchise consulting company to ultimately lead us to being able to really help people franchise their business from A to Z. For example, we work with Franchise Janice, which is one of our companies. We own all of these companies now that will help people franchise their business. They do the FDD and then they go in and do their ops manual. We then have them work with Duden Partners, with Jeff Duden, to look at strategic resources, tools to help them develop their business. At the same time, we put them in with the Great American Franchise Expo that we also own. We have 2 circuits that go up and down the U.S., and I believe we have 18 shows scheduled for 2022. The first one's going to be in Houston in February. So we have all of our franchisors, all of our emerging franchisors come to those. Then we also have people go into the Franchise Journal, which Nick started. We do feature articles on them. This month we did an edition for emerging franchisees, and every month it's different. Then we also have our franchise development, our sales organization called Friend DevCo. We have 3 offices now in the U.S. that all they do is focus on franchise sales. Last, we have the franchise consulting company where we bring them into all of our offices and then really help them to find the right people for businesses. And then at the end, we work with them to say, okay, how do you get the most for your business? Because you never know who's going to approach you and when and say, hey, we're buying you out. We want to buy your franchise. You guys are amazing. So we help them along that path. So literally from, I have no idea where to start, to, holy cow, I just heard from this private equity company. What do I do? So it's a pretty wide variety.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you definitely do cover all aspects of franchising. That's amazing. Yeah, that's interesting. What's the most fun for you right now, Janice? Obviously, you've been on every part of not only the consulting side, but on the actual operations side as well. Like, what do you enjoy spending your time on now at this part of your career?
I enjoy when people thrive, and I enjoy helping them to get to where they want to go, whether that's buying a business or franchising their business, because I know the excitement involved in doing that. And one of the happiest days is when we get a franchise disclosure document completed for a client, so they are now a franchisor, or someone signs a franchise agreement to become a new franchisee. And the excitement of building that up over 2, 3, 4 months to get them through their due diligence to really look at this business critically. And when they get there, it's just absolute celebration. And that's what drives and motivates me.
That's awesome. And, at this point of your career, you've seen probably every iteration of a franchise that could possibly be imagined. What are the franchise brands or franchisors that you're the most excited about right now?
Oh, goodness. We work with about 600 of them. And I have probably about another 100 in the pipeline for the emerging brands to work on new franchise disclosure documents with. There's a lot going on in the medical arena right now. And I think traditionally in the past, it's been reserved for doctors. However, doctors, I think in this day and age, based on how things have changed in the insurance industry and medical billing and healthcare in the U.S., there's a lot of opportunities for new franchises that are coming in where people can really change the medical business as it is today. Sure. So that's a big one. We also see a tremendous amount of growth in the home services and maintenance arena because they're the lowest cost of entry, they're the fastest to ramp, and people will always need those businesses and those services.
Yeah. So, interesting point. Before I got into franchising, which I own all service-based brands, right? And so I understand that, but I was in the healthcare arena before and realized how bureaucratic and complicated it became. And so it is an industry that's ripe for some very strong business acumen to come in and simplify it, clean it up, and help turn it back into more of a profitable, customer oriented type of industry. So unique perspective for sure. Yeah. Janice, what are you spending your days on now? I know you've got all these different things you can do for franchisees and franchisors. What does a typical day look like for you?
I think a lot of it is networking, letting people know that we're here, what we do. A lot of people don't know that franchise consultants exist. A lot of people don't know that, what to do when they want to start developing their company and franchising it. So it's a lot of getting the word out, networking, reaching out to people, and then learning. Do everything that I can to learn as much as I possibly can about all of our different brands, what makes them unique, where we see strengths, where we see weaknesses. So we can really take both aspects of the company and my staff, we can take those and meld those into how do we make this an absolute ideal franchise opportunity that really checks every single box out there. So, that's a big part of it. A lot of communication with the franchisors, all of our different companies. The franchisors that we work with are amazing in their communication to us, and that's how we help, because we really want to make sure that we have the best opportunities available for our clients on all levels.
And one of the things we like to focus on, Janice, is positive stories, success stories, things like that. In your time over the last 7-8 years, on the consulting side, what's one or two, success stories, whether it's a new franchisee buying a business or someone selling their existing business, or if, a new concept converting into a franchise operation. What are the, one or two stories that really stand out to you? Like, hey, this is something we're really proud of.
And, someone like, well, gosh, you must have sold a whole bunch of them. And, we did that. We did that with supercuts and cost cutters, and had some people that bought, dozens of stores. And that's a lot of fun to see them go from, I really don't know much about this brand, to, holy buckets, just what did I get into 30 locations in my area? Now what? So, those are, absolutely a lot of fun. I think probably one of the most rewarding was working with a lady who used to be a Target store manager. And she said, it's time for me to do something different. And we put her into a payroll vault franchise. And she is absolutely crushing it and loves it. So that to me is the most exciting and the most successful, because you see every aspect, but for her personally, she didn't know anything about it. And to be able to share those things with her and really help her to critically analyze by facts and not emotion to buy a franchise was really neat.
That is neat. Janice, what on the franchisee side, if someone's looking to buy a franchise or maybe to sell their franchise, what is it that you're looking for in a client, and where does someone need to be in the process to reach out to you and to engage your services?
Well, we really work with people in about all aspects of life. Typically, we tell people from a financial perspective, you need to have at least $50,000 in liquid capital. So what cash do you have that you can grab right away? We also want to have a minimum of $200,000 in net worth. So what does that look like? And making sure that it's not just to say, do you have the money? It's to say, when you buy this franchise, are you able to get credit terms? To buy your cost of goods, whatever you need to, in order for you to succeed, and then have the working capital so you don't get yourself into a cash flow problem. I think that the people that I enjoy working with the most and the people that we can help the most is they're open-minded. And really saying, some people, I have no idea what a franchise is. Some people say, well, I've heard about this person that had a bad experience, and I heard about this person that had a great experience, and I don't know where to start. And I think with franchising, we all know somebody that's had a bad experience and someone that's had a great experience, as you do with any business. It's no difference from, Billy Bob's Insurance down the street to a convenience store, to a grocery store, to lawyers, to accountants, whatever. You have that in every business, but it's helping people that really have a determined work ethic and a strong work ethic that say, yeah, I really want to go after this. That they're not wishy-washy. And they truly want to build something for themselves.
And Janice, on that side of your business, if I'm someone who's leaving a corporate job or looking for a change in life and I want to engage your services, what does that cost me? Is there a fee for me as someone who's looking to buy a business?
Absolutely no cost to you. We work very similar to a realtor, and that's usually the best comparison that we have, in that we're here to be your advocate and really help, from my perspective, give you a pretty in-depth peek under the covers as to what franchising is about, and then that specific franchisor. We are compensated by the franchisors that we work with. However, someone's not going to pay more because they work with us, like they do in real estate. So there's literally no difference in cost if you engage us to help you and my team, or if you call the franchisor up directly. We'll get somebody there within about 2 to 4 months to have offers in front of them, as opposed to doing it on your own will take 1 year to 2.
In that scenario, Janice, if someone reaches out directly to a brand, obviously that brand's going to, try to sell that to them, whether it may not be the best actual brand for them or not, where in your situation, you can advise someone saying, hey, this may be a better opportunity based on your financial situation, your experience, things like that, right? So you're really looking out for the purchaser, not necessarily just the brand itself, right?
We really are. And one of the things that we try to focus on when we initially talk with people is really getting to know them. What do they want this business to do? What do they want to invest? What kind of return do they want? Do they want retail, non-retail? How long do you want the business? Do you want employees? Where do you want it located? That way we can really get to know these people. I mean, those are just some of the questions that we ask. And then once we go to look, we're not looking for just available franchises, but those that are viable. And I think it's a big difference in understanding who our clients are and then matching them up, because we know our franchisors very, very well. We know exactly how they define a perfect franchisee for them. And then we're going to go in and match them up, and we'll talk through it. And if it's not a fit, I'm going to pull them and just say, no, don't. And here's why. And I've done that. And the franchisor hasn't been very happy with me at times, but I'm like, you know what? I'm here to look out for the best interest of my clients, and I don't think it's a fit, and here's why. And they're like, oh, okay, got it.
I like that. Viable, not just available. That's good. That's good. Yep. Janice, last question here. If I'm, a small business owner, or I'm, have a concept I'm developing, things like that, what's the process to engage with you to look at maybe converting my business or idea, or where do I need to be to engage your services to look at making it a franchise brand?
There's a lot of different ways that people come to us when they look to franchise their business. Some people have something that's just conceptual. Some people have maybe 1 or 2 territories or franchises or locations going. Others have been around and they have one that's been going for years. So it really depends upon the business. But our goal is really to talk with them to understand their business and say, okay, if I have one of my clients that's looking for a business, is this something that I would feel comfortable putting in front of them? And through a pretty detailed process, we'll go through and say, okay, they'll say, well, can you franchise my business? And my honest answer is, I have no idea. We don't know yet. We don't have enough information to be able to say, Calvin, we're going to go franchise it. You've got the coolest looking shirts. I know you've been selling them for ages. And I know everybody said we want to buy a franchise. And by the way, there's 3,000 of those out there. So how do we do everything that we can to say, is this viable? And then we make the decision together with them. And but really, no matter where they're at, you'd love to have some kind of track record. So you're not trying to say, okay, well, I'm going to sell this to you. Well, how much money can I make? No idea. That's a little hard for people to wrap their arms around, to put in a couple $100,000 when they have no idea what the return might be.
Perfect. Well, Janice, thank you so much again for taking the time to speak with us. It's been great to hear your story, and I look forward to talking to you again soon. And for anyone who took the time to listen to our latest episode of the Social Z podcast, we look forward to having you join us again next time. Thanks so much.
Thanks for the opportunity.